movies. And Sam Raimi's The Evil Dead scared the crap out of us as well.
How old were you?
About 13 at the time, but we were already out making short films. We started at that time, we were already out making short movies on Super 8 film, you know, mates as actors and that kind of thing, you know, trying to build up from there, learning by our mistakes, of which we made many. And then, but it took obviously a lot of years later, and we kind of discovered Africa through doing TV adverts. We ended up shooting some commercials in Ghana, Nigeria, Cape Town, that kind of thing. And we were looking at Africa thinking, wow, this is just so beautiful. And we kind of thought, and then I think John mentioned this zombie movie we never did, and somehow we just clicked the two together, and it was like, actually that could be really quite interesting. Do it in Africa, and maybe we can make something that means a little more, you know?
So how long did it take to get from, you had that revelation to making the film and seeing it through?
Yeah, well actually I sort of part-financed it myself, so I just wrote a big check, and which was kind of handy to be able to do, because we'd had a really good couple of years back-to-back commercials, and that's where the money is, I'm afraid. And so I just said, look, you know what, let's go do this thing. I'll close the production company doors, we'll turn down the work that's coming in, and I just felt we'd really sold out with the adverts, and it wasn't really what we were about, so we wanted to just go back and do what we love, movies, and yeah, so it was fairly quick. I kind of think within a couple of months, we'd sat down and actually written the script, you know, which isn't full of dialogue, so it took us, you know, not too long, really, and we had the ideas, and John had been noting ideas for years. And then we went for a little location recce for like 10 days or something like that, and I think within 4 months we were out there shooting it.
Where did you end up finding the actors, the two leads especially?
Yeah, funny enough, strangely enough, Rob Freeman, I'd met at one of these film networking events that you go to, because you're meant to go to them, because apparently it's all about networking and everything. I just remember meeting him thinking, yeah, he's got a really good face, and I just thought his eyes were amazing, and he seemed like a nice guy, and that, to me, is kind of everything. I'd rather work with nice people, you know. And I just sort of thought, yeah, I'd love to put him in a movie one day, and I thought nothing of it. And then later on, when we suddenly were trying to think of a lead, and John said, we've got to have a guy with really striking eyes, you know, to contrast with the landscape. And so my mind went instantly back to sitting across from Rob over a beer, and I just thought, yeah, let's contact that guy. And then we checked him out. He'd done some movies since, and he was a regular in Smallville and the X-Files and stuff. I just thought, yeah, thankfully he hadn't got really famous, so we'll be able to afford to just get him out for a while on not much money. And Prince, David Osei from Ghana, we tried to think, we thought maybe we'll use an actor from the UK or an African American, and we kind of thought, hey, this guy has got to just feel so local. You've got to just feel it. You know, we're not going to be able to fake this, so let's go for and let's try and support up and coming talent in Africa. So we kind of cast all over the place. We were offered the winner of Big Brother Africa or something, but thought, not sure he can act. And then we asked the advertising agencies we'd worked for to just sort of put a local casting, and in walks Prince. Actually, they sent me a sort of really low-res, you know, MP4 of him auditioning and about 11 other guys, and he was just that guy. He just nailed it. He was him, you know. And then we rang him up, and he was like, because he didn't believe it was a real film, and he thought it was a setup. And then when he gets a call from England, and there's an English person on the other end, he suddenly believed it all, and yeah.
And you all ended up shot the film in 35 millimeter, right?
It's shot on 35, and again, the Blu-ray's not going to help all the qualities of that to come through, but and we did shoot some on Super 16 as well, some of the close-ups and some of the sort of handheld stuff when the camera goes a little bit more manic every now and then. But it's all shot on film. I mean, John and I are big film lovers. I think I'd rather work in Walnut than go out shooting. I don't know. I'm not a fan of digital. While film is still alive, that's what I want to do.
And who did you have working on the effects?
Yeah. Well, the prosthetics and makeup was Max van der Banks, and we ended up shipping out, we shipped out lots of odd things, because we imported everything into the country, and including severed limbs, fake baby, all sorts of odd stuff, AK-47s. You can imagine this stuff turning up at the port. No wonder we took a while to get out. And Dan Rickard, who I teach at film school in the UK, and every now and then, again, you get a student who comes through who's just oozing talent and And so we steal that talent and bring it with us on our productions. And so we hired him on commercials and stuff like that. And he's just brilliant. He's just such an unassuming guy. And he works at home in his bedroom, and I come along and go, right, what is it to show? Because he got this short film where he just got tanks and people going by in the street. And I'm thinking, how much did you cost that? What did it cost you to do that? It's like, oh, about £30, you know. And I was thinking, that's better than a big Hollywood shot. You know, so this is a guy who works in his bedroom doing this stuff. So he, you know, did the aeroplane that goes over and CG touch-ups. But we tried not to use much CGI. So we sent him on a special effects course so we could merge that world of practical effects and CG, you know. And because once you accept the fact that the dead are returning to life and attacking the living, we kind of wanted everything to feel realistic, you know, the detail of everything that was going on. Even when he's trying to fix up the car, that fuel that he sucks out, that is Rob Freeman sucking fuel, you know, and we did it 2-3 times.
How about the extras for the movie? Where did you find the extras out there?
They're just everywhere. And in fact, we kind of found, we were a bit worried at first because we thought, this is odd. We're going to go into someone else's country and we're going to do a movie here where there's a zombie plague. How are people going to take to this? But they were really, really fantastic, the locals, and they really understood the zombie legend. So everyone you see in these villages, they are the people of those villages. A lot of them are wearing the clothes they wear. Those are the huts they live in and all of this stuff. You know, we changed it around a little bit just for the colour scheme. But we found them wherever, when we realised that a local job there in parts of Burkina Faso, they were working a 12-hour day, loading 40 kilo, which is about 65 pounds, bags of rice, cocoa, and whatever on and off ships, taking them back and forth to the port. And they did that for 12 hours a day, feeding and watering themselves for $1. That was a good job on which to feed their families. And so it's really, really a poor place on the whole. And so here we come along, and it's, okay, for 10 times what they might earn in a day, plus they're going to get fed and watered, they have to either stand at point A and walk to point B. It was very easy to get people to volunteer for that. And not only that, there was a weird moment, and it's a horrific scene, and we knew it when we were doing it, even before we were doing it. The bodies that are lying on the ground as they're driving into the village, this sort of disturbing scene of those people on the floor. And we had trouble. They were so going, hang on a second, you want us to lie on the ground and do nothing for money? Yep, that's it. Nothing else. You have to lift everything, do nothing. In fact, they fell asleep down there. And they were so still, and they could not believe they were getting paid for lying on the floor. You honestly couldn't keep them awake, and they were lovely. And, you know, just the people of the villages I have so much respect for, and we were able to help them out with things. We found out that some of the people in the villages, there was a lady who walked miles and miles carrying this sort of big pail of water, this huge, you know, they didn't have running water there. The well was like 5 miles away, and the job was given to a sort of elderly lady, as you do. And so she would walk with these pails of water, and we said, what would make your life easier? A donkey. If we had a donkey, not only would we not have to carry these heavy, you know, water for 5 miles a day, we could trade our vegetables with the city and stuff. Buy a donkey, I mean, come on, you know, and we'd repair their costs. So we were able to do things like that. I feel very privileged to have been able to take in cash and give it directly to people who needed it. Don't get me wrong, we were not saving the world. We were making a zombie movie, but that was nice.
Any questions out there?
You mentioned there wasn't a lot of dialogue. I wanted to compliment you on it. Felt really natural. It was beautiful. So and I was wondering about the chief, the tribal chief that was talking about what might have caused this. That was really beautiful, and I thought it was beautifully placed in the film. It was right in the dead center, pardon the pun. And I was wondering if you felt, if that came naturally, or did you have to pare it down? Were you worried about people making a political thing out of it? Because it seemed like it was so tasteful, and it was so eloquently stated that it didn't have any kind of big political import to it. But I felt that it could probably have that kind of effect, though. Did you have any problems writing that, or did you develop that through like improv type thing? Or
yeah, no, that was actually all scripted. And there's a couple of lines that were also scripted but cut out. And thank you so much. I'm so glad that came through. And that's exactly what we want you to feel about it. So I shall tell John. He'll be very pleased. And firstly, the minimalistic side. John and I, when we were sat down to actually write the script, you know, over the week, the 3-4 weeks that we did, we had this rule: if a piece of dialogue wasn't necessary, we would shoot it down in flames. One of us would come out with a line, and the other, you justify the reason for that line. And if we couldn't come up with a good justification, it's out. And there was no, we made that pact at the beginning, and we all had to sort of lose lines here and there. But what we wanted to do with that, first and foremost, we wanted to give the Africans a sort of a better perspective over the world, you know, a more sort of spiritually aware, I don't know, presence and a wiseness that perhaps is lacking elsewhere. And our main character, we wanted him to be kind of a selfish character. He's you know, busy trying to save himself. He's not saving anyone. He doesn't save the girl. He doesn't. But actually, the Africans are protecting themselves. They're all about, you know, protecting each other, and that's something we wanted. We also wanted to, in that particular conversation, hint at why the zombie outbreak might be happening, but never actually try and explain it. Because we figured, if you try and explain a zombie outbreak, whatever you conclude is going to be ridiculous. You can't really narrow it down to something, you know, it doesn't seem to work. So really, we just wanted to mention the things about the bombs earlier. The co-star Prince says, you know, not since your bombs destroyed it, about the airport. We threw in these little things. We had a little bit of the juju man, the voodoo. We thought maybe people might consider that could be something to do with that for a moment. And that conversation you mentioned about the with the chief and Prince. And yeah, we just kind of wanted them to say something about, without going too deeply, but John and I feel there are probably too many people in the world. Man is kind of destroying the earth. I don't want to get too heavy with it, but we kind of are a bit. So I'm as responsible as the next person. So firing guns and blowing things up probably doesn't help. But we wanted to at least make that statement. But people can take what they want from it, really. And thanks for getting that.
Any other questions?
How did you decide what kind of zombies you would have, if you will? Like how they would move and how they would look?
Yeah, we actually, early on, we knew we were always going to do the slow-moving type. I love 28 Days Later. I actually like the remake of Dawn of the Dead. It's a good movie on its own. But we definitely wanted the slower-moving zombies because, A, that was what was inspired us in the first place. But B, for me, I believe, even if it's not necessarily enough action for the kids, you know, you might want a bit more action than we've actually delivered in the film, I liked the suspense of it. I think that stylistically, when you have fast-running zombies, the way you actually have to film someone running at you at speed becomes an action scene. You're forced to film it as an action scene, and I don't think you can contain suspense within action. And therefore, the slow-moving type that can gradually creep up on you, I hope sort of slightly teases the audience a bit with what's going to come around the corner, and it's a little bit more, we were able to take our time with it. And really, we just thought, we didn't want too many groaning noises as well. We kind of thought that the groaning noise that zombies make, whilst we love it in other movies, almost became a cliche in itself every time there's a zombie is a big groan. So we thought, let's have just a little bit of noise in the wind and we'll keep it on a sort of supernatural level without saying too much. So, and actually we thought death is a disadvantage, so they probably shouldn't be able to run and jump anyway.
One last question.
Mine's not really a serious question. I just want to ask, did you really run a guy over? Because that was brilliant.
That's actually my brother, John. Thanks. No, we didn't, actually. Although we would like to run over some armed police, I can tell you, and maybe that scene was inspired by that. And the head squashing, incidentally, wasn't in the script. There was something else that happened there in the script, but there was a few things in the script we couldn't do. And but we kind of got to think. We thought, well, let's kill. We can't always just shoot them in the head. Let's try and think of something else, so it's not repetitive. Even though, of course, it's going to be a bit. So no, we didn't. That was that is a dummy. I'm glad it came across as slightly real.
It was really seamless.
Good, thank you. And one thing we wanted to do was not have the edit right before the impact, because psychologically everyone knows then you've cut to a dummy. So we thought, let's have the shot run for a few seconds prior, and that hopefully surprises you in that way. No, it was done several passes. There is a dummy involved, but and that's where the CG I mentioned, Dan Rickard, the genius, we've taken a practical effect. So the dummy was dressed in the same way and everything else, and then there's an element of CG. The dummy, his face is put on that dummy and everything else. So there's a blend of real effects and CG, but I'm glad it worked.
It was brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So what's next?
Next, Party is next. That's where we're
That's for you.
Yeah, I know. Well, there is even talk of The Dead 2, actually, but I've got a couple of other screenplays. I've got a supernatural thriller, sort of Sixth Sense, Jacob's Ladder, The Others, this type of movie. And I would like to do horror again, but I think it might be sort of one horror and then a thriller. I'd kind of like to do a movie like Taken, like a thriller like that, but really sort of take it so seriously and make it fairly gritty and real and hopefully take people on a different kind of journey. I don't know exactly what's next. I've been offered a couple of films that were really, really not right. And I didn't just want to go straight into something else. I kind of want to see how this does, and maybe if enough people like yourself, good selves, come and support the film, then we will have to go back to Africa with more money and more armed guards and do it again.
And it does open a week from today. At least 3 theaters in DC. You can go to Global.
I don't even know.
Global
Global Cinema Distribution is the distributor. They're running a list of all the venues it's playing. And
I know Shirlington and Arlington is playing it next week. And immediately, there is the after party at Science Club at 19th Street.
There is free to come in. Please come along, whoever. I know it's late, but I'm definitely going to go in.
It's a few blocks from the Farragut West Metro. So,
Science Club, and it's free entry. I think they're putting on some sort of hors d'oeuvres. Probably not a lot, but come and have a drink.
Some posters. There'll be some hats, and
there's some T-shirts to give away, something like that. And if not, just have a drink. And so hopefully see you there. And thanks, thanks so much. Thanks for having us here.
Thank you,
Curtis. It was a real pleasure, and it's a real honour to be in the house. So hopefully see you at the club. Please come along and have a drink. I need one.